Chapter 1. The Perfect Illusion. The alarm buzzed at 5:30 a.m. like it did every morning. Same tone, same time, same routine. I rolled over, rubbed the sleep from my eyes, and reached out toward her side of the bed. Cold. Empty. Olivia was already up. Again. For most of our marriage, we used to wake up together, tangled in sheets, soft laughter, sleepy kisses. Now, her side of the bed was empty more often than not when I stirred. At first, I figured she was hitting the gym early, maybe going hard on her new wellness kick. But lately, I wasn't so sure. I sat up, let my legs dangle off the edge of the mattress for a moment, and stared at the hardwood floor. Another Monday, another job site, another 12-hour day under the sun with tools in my hands and sweat on my brow. Morning, I said as I walked into the kitchen. Olivia stood by the fridge, sipping from a smoothie cup. Makeup already done, hair tied in that effortless I'm hot without trying kind of way. Hey, she said without looking at me, scrolling through her phone. I noticed she quickly tilted the screen away. You heading out early? Yeah, I've got a meeting with the Sheridan Rep at 8. Big conference coming in next month. They want to lock down the ballroom. She said it like she was annoyed. She even had to explain. 7 years together, and lately she talked to me like I was a stranger trying to sell her insurance. That's good. Sounds big. I replied, pouring myself some black coffee. It is, she said, finally glancing at me, then lowering her voice to a playful tone. Don't wait up tonight. The girls and I are hitting Brasa for wine night. That was the third girls' night in 2 weeks. You've been hanging with them a lot lately, I said casually, trying to keep my voice light. Olivia smiled, cocking her head slightly. Don't be jealous, babe. I just need time with the girls. Some of us still know how to have fun. The way she said it stung more than I expected. That little smirk, that sing-song tone like I was some old, dull husband dragging her down. I forced a smile and sipped my coffee, letting the bitterness do what my words couldn't. Right. Have fun, I said quietly. She leaned in and gave me a kiss on the cheek, a quick press of lips that used to mean something. Now, it felt more like checking off a box. Then she was gone. I stood in the quiet kitchen for a moment, listening to the sound of her heels clicking down the walkway and the engine of her Lexus starting. She pulled out of the driveway without a glance back. Our house looked picture-perfect from the outside. Fresh paint, neatly trimmed lawn, 2-car garage, a cozy front porch with a hanging swing Olivia picked out during one of our Target dates. To anyone driving by, we probably looked like we had it all. But lately, I felt like I was living in a house full of shadows. Work was my escape. At least on the job site, things made sense. Problems had solutions. A crooked beam could be fixed. A cracked foundation could be rebuilt. People were direct. Tools obeyed. But at home, things were different. Subtle. Shifty. I started noticing her phone was always upside down when she set it on the table. Password changed. Notifications silenced. The second it buzzed, she'd snatch it up like a teenager hiding texts from their parents. Once, I came up behind her on the couch and saw a message flash before she swiped it away. Something from someone named Lex. The preview read, "Damn, you looked fire last night." When I asked about it, she laughed. "Relax, it's just a friend from the event team. He's gay, babe." She said babe like it was a weapon, a leash, a joke. I nodded. I didn't want to be that guy, the controlling, paranoid husband. I believed in trust. But trust only works when both people are on the same page. And lately, it felt like Olivia was writing an entirely different book. Evenings became more disconnected. I'd come home exhausted, sunburnt, and sore, and she'd barely lift her eyes from her laptop or phone. When I reached for her, she pulled away with some version of, "I'm tired," or "Not tonight, I've got early meetings." No fights, just distance. That's the worst kind of decline, not loud, not violent. Just erosion. Sometimes I'd look at her across the dinner table and wonder, when did I stop being her priority? When did she stop seeing me as her man? One night, I asked, "You remember our honeymoon? That Airbnb in Sedona?" She looked up from her phone, distracted. "Yeah, why?" "I don't know," I said, shrugging. "We used to talk for hours, even when there was nothing to say." "I miss that." Olivia smiled, softly, almost apologetically. "Yeah, life gets busy, huh?" Then she went right back to scrolling. Later that same week, I caught her trying on a new dress in the mirror. Tight, black, revealing. It hugged her hips and dipped low in the back. Damn, I said, stepping behind her, wrapping my arms around her waist. That for me? She smirked and pulled away. For Brasa. The girls won't dress up. Feel sexy. Mission accomplished, I said, watching her walk away. She tossed back a quick, cocky response. Some of us still got it. I didn't say anything, just stood there, staring at the woman I thought I knew, wondering when exactly she stopped dressing for me. That Friday night, I was up late working in the garage when she left for a night out. She barely said goodbye, just a quick, love you, as she spritzed perfume and slipped into heels. I waited by the window, watching her get into the Uber. Her friends were already inside, laughing, their voices loud and careless. Olivia didn't even glance back at the house. I stared at my reflection in the window, jaw clenched, coffee cooling in my hand. This was becoming a pattern. Nights out, new outfits, messages she kept to herself, laughter that no longer included me. At first, I told myself it was nothing, just a phase, maybe a rough patch, but something deep in my gut whispered louder every night. Something's wrong. Still, I pushed it down, like most men do, swallowed it, buried it under logic and loyalty and the belief that good husbands don't jump to conclusions. But something about her smile that night, too polished, too detached, told me I wasn't imagining things. She looked back one last time before stepping into the car, and she said it with a smirk. Don't be jealous, babe. I just need time with the girls. Some of us still know how to have fun. Chapter 2. Girls' night again. The first time she mentioned the Vegas trip, we were eating takeout on the couch, watching some mindless Netflix comedy we'd already seen twice. She didn't even look up when she said it. So, the girls and I are planning a trip? Olivia said, casually scooping a bite of her poke bowl. I paused mid-chew. Oh yeah? Where to? Vegas, she said almost too quickly. Just 4 days. We've been talking about it forever. Vegas, I repeated, setting my fork down. She finally looked at me, flashing that playful smile she always used when she wanted something. Yep, Spot A, rooftop pools, fancy dinners, the works. You sure that's a good idea? I asked, keeping my voice neutral. She leaned back, resting her arm along the couch. What do you mean? I hesitated. It wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. Carefree, almost dismissive. I mean, Vegas is, a lot. Olivia rolled her eyes and chuckled. Jack, it's not like we're doing shots off strippers. We're grown women. It's just us girls. No husbands allowed. She said it with a smirk. One of those cocky, challenging ones that wasn't really meant to be cute. It was meant to shut down any objection before it started. I nodded slowly, pretending to be okay with it. When are you leaving? Next month. We just started booking rooms today. Vanessa got us a deal at the Palms. I swallowed hard. Something about it didn't sit right. Not the destination. Not the timing. Not the tone. But I told myself not to be that guy. I'd seen enough bitter ex-husbands who turned paranoid and bitter over nothing. That wasn't me. I was solid. I believed in space, in trust, in letting people live. Still, something gnawed at the back of my mind. Later that week, I brought it up while grabbing beers with my buddy Javier. Javier was recently divorced. His ex-wife had blindsided him with the classic "I need space" speech, which turned out to be code for, "I've already been sleeping with my gym instructor." We were sitting outside at Miller's Tavern, watching a playoff game on the outdoor screen. Vegas, Javier said, nearly choking on his nachos. And she said, no husbands allowed. He shook his head, laughing bitterly. Bro, that's not a vacation. That's a mission. I laughed, but it was uneasy. Come on, man. You think. He leaned in, eyes serious now. Look, I'm not saying she's cheating. I'm saying there's no reason a married woman needs to be in Vegas without her husband, drunk off overpriced cocktails, surrounded by dudes who think rings are optional. You ever seen a girl's trip to Vegas end with Bible study? I sipped my beer silent. Javier continued, voice quieter. When a woman says no husband allowed, that's code for I'm about to do dirt. Ask yourself why she doesn't want you there. That hit harder than I expected. That night, I lay in bed while Olivia showered, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly above me. The sound of water rushing behind the bathroom door seemed louder than usual. I listened to it like it was trying to tell me something. My phone buzzed. A text from Javier. Just keep your eyes open, bro, trust, but verify. I didn't reply. Over the next 2 weeks, I started noticing more. Olivia started going to the gym 5 days a week, which in itself wasn't strange. She'd always been active. But now it was different. Now she'd come back with full makeup on. Now she took more mirror selfies in gym leggings than she ever had before. Now she never asked me to come with her like she used to. And the outfits? Tighter, shorter, sexier. New stuff with tags I didn't recognize. I found a receipt one morning while taking out the trash. A boutique lingerie store we'd never shopped at together. $200 spent. Then there were the appointments. Waxing, spray tan, nails, hair, teeth whitening. You planning on shooting a movie or something? I joked one night as she came home glowing from the salon. She smirked as she set her purse down. Just want to look good on the trip. Is that a problem? Not at all, I said. Just new look. That's all. She walked past me, heels clicking on the hardwood floor, and said over her shoulder, "Some of us still like to feel desired." I stared after her, unsure if that was meant for me or someone else. 2 days later, she left her suitcase open in the guest room, half-packed. I peeked inside when she wasn't around. New bikini tops, heels, dresses still on hangers. Nothing in that suitcase said spa weekend. It screamed singles club crawl. She started texting more, too, late at night, laughing to herself, locking her phone when I walked into the room. I told myself not to snoop, but my gut, it was screaming. I found myself checking her Instagram when she was asleep. Stories filled with gym pics, cryptic quotes about loving yourself first, and pictures of cocktails with her girlfriends. No mention of me, no trace of us. And I started to realize something. It wasn't just about the trip. It was the way she was already acting like she was somewhere else. She came home late one evening, smiling ear to ear, holding her phone like it was made of gold. Guess what? She said, excited. Vanessa booked us VIP at Omnia. We're going to have bottle service and everything. I looked up from the TV. Omnia? That's a club, right? Yeah, it's legendary. Calvin Harris is spinning that weekend. Sounds like you're going to be wilding out, I said, trying to keep it light. Olivia laughed, tossing her purse on the table. Don't worry, babe. I'll behave. She walked over, kissed me on the cheek. Her lips lingered just long enough to feel rehearsed. You trust me, right? She asked, staring into my eyes. I nodded, forcing a smile. Of course. But in my chest, something cracked a little. Not big, not loud, just a subtle fracture. She leaned back and smirked. No husbands allowed. It's our time to get loose. Chapter 3. Sin City on mute. The morning Olivia left for Vegas, she was practically buzzing with excitement. She wore a cropped hoodie, skin-tight leggings, and oversized sunglasses that looked more suited for paparazzi than TSA. I stood in the kitchen, coffee in hand, watching her zip up the last compartment of her glittery pink suitcase. She was glowing, hair curled, lips glossed, lashes long and curled like she was walking into a photo shoot. All set? I asked. She looked up, flashing a wide, toothy grin. Yep, flight's at 10. Vanessa's swinging by in a few. She paced the living room, phone in one hand, Starbucks in the other, firing off texts with her manicured nails while FaceTiming one of the girls on speaker. Girl, I told you to pack the white dress. That's our rooftop night, she squealed, barely noticing I was standing 3 feet away. I just watched, absorbed it. Every move, every word. She was already gone, long before she boarded the plane. She turned to me once she ended the call. Okay, I'll text you when we land. Promise. She leaned in for a kiss, brushing my lips with hers like she was clocking out of work. Be good, she added with a wink. Yeah, I muttered, forcing a half smile. You too. As she rolled her suitcase out the front door, I stood in the doorway, watching her toss her bag into Vanessa's trunk and slide into the passenger seat without a glance back. Then the car pulled away, tires crunching over gravel. Just like that, she was gone, and the silence began. The first day, I gave her space. No texts, no calls, no clingy check-ins. I told myself I wasn't going to be that guy, needy, jealous, hovering. But by day 2, something fell off. No updates, no photos, no tags. No, Landed safe. No, look at this pool. Not even a selfie with the girls. Just nothing. Olivia, who posted her breakfast smoothies and gym shoes like she was a lifestyle influencer, had suddenly gone radio silent. That's when my stomach started to tighten. I checked her Instagram. Still active, but no stories. No posts. I told myself maybe she just wanted a break from her phone. Maybe she was relaxing, enjoying her time. Maybe she'd post later. But something felt wrong. On day 3, I stayed up late working in the garage. Just me, a six-pack, and the radio humming through the night air. At 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Notification. You've been tagged in a video. I unlocked the screen. It was from Ashley, one of Olivia's friends. A new Instagram story. The preview image hit like a punch. Blurry neon lights. A crowd of screaming women. A stage. I tapped, and my world stopped. Olivia was front and center, drink in hand, hair wild, eyes glossy with drunken thrill. She was dancing, grinding, on a shirtless, oiled-up male stripper wearing a faux leopard loincloth. Tarzan. He picked her up by the hips, spun her, then dropped her into a squat between his legs while her friends howled and cheered. The camera panned in, catching her face as she threw her head back laughing, then slapped his chest like it was all a game. The worst part? She looked free, unbothered, reckless, like nothing and no one outside that club existed, not even me. And there, right at the top of the screen, above her swaying body, my name, tagged by accident. At Jack Turner 91, my chest locked up. My pulse roared in my ears. I just stood there, gripping my phone so hard my knuckles whitened. I didn't move, didn't speak. I just watched, on repeat. Each time the video looped, something inside me crumbled. The woman I married, the woman I'd built a life around, was grinding on a half-naked stranger while her friends captured every second like it was a highlight reel. And she didn't care, not even enough to keep it private. She wanted to be seen. My thoughts spiraled. Was this her first time doing this? Or just the first time I caught it? Was this what girls' night always meant? Had I been played for years while I broke my back working, trusting her, loving her? I sat on the workbench, eyes locked on the phone screen, letting the video loop again and again until my beer went warm. I didn't cry. I didn't throw the phone. I didn't scream. I just shut down. It wasn't even rage, not yet. It was deeper, colder, like someone had carved a hole in my chest and filled it with ice. A slow, pulsing ache of humiliation. A betrayal. I didn't text her. Didn't ask for an explanation. Didn't say a single word. Instead, I opened my Facebook, clicked on my profile, scrolled to relationship status. Married. I hovered there for a moment, staring at it. Then clicked. Single. I hit Save Changes. It felt surgical, precise, like cutting out a tumor. Unnecessary pain. Next, I deleted every photo of us. Wedding, vacations, anniversaries, all of it. Gone. I made my profile public. Let the whole world see. She wanted to be single in Vegas? Fine. I'd make it official. I didn't post some dramatic status. No cryptic quotes. No pity party. Just silence. The same silence she gave me. I shut off my phone, sat back in the garage chair, and stared at the ceiling. Somewhere out in Vegas, she was probably still dancing, still laughing, still drunk on attention. And me? I was here, stone still, jaw clenched, watching the illusion of my marriage dissolve one humiliating pixel at a time. Chapter 4. 3 dates, no apologies. After the video, I didn't feel rage. Not right away. It was colder than that. Like something inside me had been amputated, and now I was just empty. I didn't text Olivia. Didn't ask why she thought it was okay to straddle a man in a loincloth while her friends filmed it. Didn't yell. Didn't threaten. I just switched off the part of me that cared. It was almost mechanical, the way my mind shifted. No emotion. No second-guessing. Just clear steps in my head. Pull back. Plan exit. Reclaim self. By the time she texted me on day 4, "Hey babe, just checking in. Miss you," I had already emotionally packed my bags. I read the message once. Didn't respond. My thumb hovered over her contact. Then I muted the thread. Let her stew in her own silence. That night, I sat alone in my truck outside a small bar on the east side of town. Nothing fancy. Wooden sign, old jukebox, warm lights. The kind of place where nobody dressed up to impress, and the whiskey tasted like it came from someone's granddad's garage. Date 1. Haley. We'd matched on a dating app a few hours earlier. Her profile was playful, curvy redhead, sucker for hot wings and dad jokes. We exchanged 4 messages before she said, "You seem grounded. Want to grab a drink tonight?" I told her yes before I could think. She showed up in ripped jeans, a vintage Nirvana tee, and black boots. Not my type exactly, but that wasn't the point. "Jack?" she asked, sliding onto the bar stool next to me. "That's me." She smiled, tilted her head. "You look like someone who just buried a body." I let out a small laugh. "That obvious?" Haley grinned and flagged down the bartender. 2 whiskeys. And keep him coming. Over the next 2 hours, we talked. About nothing. About everything. She was funny, sharp, a little chaotic. She made jokes about bad dates and shared a story about walking out on a guy mid-meal when he told her he didn't believe in tipping. At one point, she leaned in closer, her hand brushing mine. "You seem like the kind of guy who's never cheated on a woman." I didn't respond right away. She caught the pause. That's why you're here." Something like that. She reached for her drink and clinked her glass against mine. To letting go of people who don't know what they've got. We didn't kiss. We didn't go home together. When she left, she looked at me and said, "You're not broken, just bruised. Let her regret you." And then she was gone. The next night, I met Ashley. Not Olivia's friend. This one was a nurse from a nearby hospital. We got coffee, sat outside under string lights, and talked about music, family, how both of us hated the taste of pumpkin anything. She was soft-spoken, kind, careful with her words. But halfway through the evening, she looked at me and said, "You don't seem like you're really here." I stared into my cup. "You're right," I said. "Still in love with her." I shook my head. I don't even know who she is anymore. Ashley gave me a sad smile. "That's worse, isn't it?" I nodded. By the time the date ended, there was no flirting, no lingering touches. Just 2 people who'd both been hurt in different ways, sitting quietly in the aftermath. Before she left, she hugged me, tight, like someone who knew the weight I was carrying. "Take your time, Jack," she whispered. "Not every fire has to burn everything down." Date 3 was different. Lena was bold, confident, older by a few years, divorced, with 1 kid in college and 0 tolerance for bullshit. We met at a rooftop bar downtown. She ordered a dirty martini. I stuck with bourbon. "You're too good-looking to be newly single," she said, resting her chin on her hand. "What's the story?" I hesitated. She arched a brow. "Let me guess. She went to Vegas with her girls and forgot she was married." I froze. Her smirk faded. "Oh shit," she said. "I was kidding." I downed the rest of my drink and exhaled. "That's exactly what happened." She leaned back, studying me. "And you stayed?" "No," I said quietly. I didn't say a word. I just let her show who she really is. Lena nodded slowly. "Smart. Most guys blow up, go full rage. But silence? That's power." We sat for a while, watching the city lights blink below us. She told me about her ex, how he slowly chipped away at her trust until there was nothing left. How she wasted 2 years trying to fix something he'd already decided to destroy. Then she looked me dead in the eye. "If she can do that to you, she never respected you." The words hit like truth often does, hard, sudden, undeniable. "You don't disrespect someone you fear losing," Lena continued. "That's the realest shit I've learned." She didn't ask for a second date. She didn't need to. Before she left, she handed me her card. "If you ever need to talk, or need a realtor to help you disappear, I'm your girl." By the time I got home that night, Olivia's messages had started stacking up. "Hey babe, why haven't you texted back? I miss you. Is everything okay? You're acting weird. Can you just say something?" And then, "Jack, I saw you change your relationship status. What the hell is going on? Call me." Still, I said nothing. I scrolled through her page. More party photos. More stories of cocktails and poolside selfies. All smiles. All surface. No remorse. No shame. Just thirst. Just performance. And I realized something. She wasn't sorry. She was scared. Not scared of losing me. Scared of losing the version of me that loved her without question. The version that made her look stable, grounded, desirable. She wanted the comfort back, but she didn't want to earn it. So I let her panic. I let her messages go unanswered. I let the silence build. Because for the first time in this entire mess, I wasn't chasing clarity. I was reclaiming myself. Chapter 5. Damage Control. It was 2:04 a.m. when the banging started. Hard, fast, desperate knocks against the front door of the house I used to call home. I was 5 miles away, sitting in a room at a roadside hotel. Nothing fancy, just clean sheets, a quiet AC unit, and a keycard that didn't carry the weight of shared memories. I didn't even have to guess who it was. My phone buzzed on the bedside table, lighting up in the dark. Olivia, 6 missed calls, voicemail, 3 new messages. I didn't pick up. I didn't move. Just stared at the buzzing device like it belonged to someone else. Outside the window, the parking lot was empty. Still, peaceful. Inside my chest, it was anything but. She cut the Vegas trip short. That much was clear. Probably saw the relationship status change. Probably saw the silence. The disappearing act. The growing absence of me in her perfectly curated world. And now, the panic had set in. I imagined her standing there, heels clicking on the porch, mascara smudged, hair still done up for whatever club she was at before she realized the walls were closing in. I leaned back against the headboard and closed my eyes. That same porch, 7 years ago, was where we kissed for the first time after our wedding. We had just come back from the reception, still dressed in our clothes from the ceremony. She had taken off her heels, barefoot on the wooden planks, holding a glass of champagne. "You think we'll make it?" she'd asked, half-drunken giggle in her voice. "Make what?" "Forever." I'd smiled, touched her cheek. There's no one else I'd bet on. She had kissed me, slow and deep, like she believed it too. Funny how love can be so loud in the beginning, so certain. And then one day, you wake up and realize you've been the only one trying to keep the music playing. My phone buzzed again. Olivia calling. Decline. Another voicemail dropped into the inbox. I stared at the blinking icon. My thumb hovered over the play button. Then, finally, I tapped it. Voicemail 1 to 0.23 seconds. Jack? Babe? I just landed. I'm outside. Can you please open the door? We need to talk. I know you're upset, but this is all a big misunderstanding, okay? Just come out. Please. She sounded breathless, half sincere, still trying to keep control. Voicemail 2 to 0.45 seconds. Okay, seriously? What is this? You're ghosting me now? After all these years? You didn't even ask me what happened. You just assumed the worst and make everything public? I saw what you did, changing your status, deleting pictures. Real mature, Jack. Real grown-up. There was the shift. Cocky. Defensive. It wasn't about me being hurt. It was about her being exposed. Voicemail 3 to 1.08 minutes, then came the third one. Quieter. Heavier. Jack, I don't know what you think you saw. It was just a party. Just stupid fun. Everyone was doing it. I wasn't trying to disrespect you. It didn't mean anything. I didn't even touch him like that. I was drunk, okay? I was just dancing. You're being dramatic. Can we please just talk like adults? I miss you. Please. I played that one twice. Not because I believed it. Because I wanted to remember the sound of someone trying to lie their way back into comfort. Trying to rewrite a moment they never thought they'd have to explain. I thought back to our second anniversary. We had taken a weekend trip to the mountains. Rented a cabin. Just the two of us. There was no signal, no distractions. We spent the entire first night under a blanket on the deck, watching the stars. She had laid her head on my chest and whispered, "Promise me you'll never stop fighting for us. No matter what." I had kissed her hair and said, "Always." I meant it. Back then, I really did. But now, I was just tired of being the only one who remembered the promises. The next morning, I drove by the house, slow, unnoticed. Her car was still in the driveway. Lights off, blinds drawn. Part of me wanted to go up, confront her, demand honesty, demand remorse. But what would she say? She'd spin it, twist it, use tears as currency and sex as a distraction. She always had a way of flipping things when she felt control slipping. This time, I wasn't giving her that chance. I went back to the hotel, showered, dressed, sat on the edge of the bed. My phone was buzzing again. Another call, another voicemail, her voice on repeat, switching gears from angry to apologetic to helpless like she was cycling through a script. It was just a party. You're overreacting. You're being dramatic. Please talk to me. I listened, but I said nothing. Chapter 6. The Vanishing Act. The morning I disappeared, the air felt different, like the world had taken a deep breath and held it just for me. The sun hadn't even broken over the horizon yet. The sky was a soft charcoal gray, and I was sitting in my truck outside the title company's office, parked just behind the building. The engine idled low as I sipped black coffee and stared at the stack of documents in the passenger seat. Sale of property, finalized. The house had always been in my name, a decision made early in our marriage when my credit was better. She never questioned it, never cared. At the time, it felt like a small detail. Now it felt like the last ounce of leverage I had over my own life. I slid the pen across the final page, initialed the last line, and handed it to the notary. That was it. The house was gone. Our home, the foundation of all our memories, sold to a newlywed couple who probably still believed in forever. By noon, I was in the bank. Joint accounts. Closed. Her name. Removed. Remaining balance. Wired to a brand new account in my name only. Credit cards. Frozen. All of them. Auto payments. Canceled. Subscriptions. Gone. The banker gave me a strange look. Big day. I forced a smile. Yeah. Life reset. He didn't ask more questions. Good man. Back at the hotel, I sat on the bed and typed out a note on plain white printer paper. No dramatic goodbye. No paragraphs. No justifications. Just the truth. I saw enough. Enjoy the single life. I folded it once, slipped it into an envelope, and labeled it with her name in sharp black ink. Then I left it on the dining table of the now empty house, next to her favorite candle, the one she always lit when guests came over, pretending everything was polished and perfect. I didn't tell Javier. I didn't tell anyone, not even my sister. No goodbye posts. No cryptic status updates. The last thing I wanted was attention. I wanted silence. Distance. Peace. By 6 p.m., I was on the highway, leaving the city behind. The radio was off. My phone, wiped clean and factory reset, sat powered down in the glove box. I had a burner phone now. New number. No social media. Nothing connecting me to the man I used to be. Somewhere near the state line, I pulled over at a gas station and sat on the tailgate of the truck, watching the last bits of sunlight melt into the horizon. That's when the message came through. My old phone still pinged from the glove box, one final time, grabbing a signal off some dime bar service. It was her. A text. All caps. Final shot. You selfish piece of shit. I made a mistake. We're married. I stared at the screen for a long time. Thumb hovered over it. Not to respond, just to feel the weight of those words. Married. As if the word itself meant something once the vows had already been shattered on a drunken dance floor in Vegas. My jaw tightened. My chest went cold. No, Olivia. We were married. You just didn't act like it. Chapter 7. Her meltdown. It started as a whisper in the wind, just a text from an old friend. Javier. Yo. She's spiraling. Shit's blowing up. I hadn't heard from him in weeks. Hadn't told him where I'd gone, either. But he knew me well enough to recognize when silence meant escape, not surrender. I tapped back. What happened? His reply came fast. She's posted some crying video, saying you abandoned her. People were eating it up until receipts started surfacing. I leaned back on the motel bed, staring at the cracked ceiling. I could already picture it. Mascara-streaked cheeks, tear-choked voice, camera angled just so, the way she always curated her vulnerability like it was an Instagram brand. It took all of 3 minutes to find the video. I searched from a dummy account, the one I used to check in on the world without being seen. There she was, Olivia, red-eyed, lips trembling, blanket wrapped over her shoulders like she was some kind of war refugee. My husband. Just left, she sniffled, voice cracking. He didn't even tell me. One day I came home, and he was gone. No call, no message, just a note. She held up the paper like it was evidence in a court case. I saw enough. Enjoy the single life. The comments section below was split right down the middle. At first, sympathy rolled in fast. OMG, that's so cruel. You don't deserve this. Men are such cowards. But then the internet did what it always does. Screenshots surfaced. Someone uploaded the Tarzan clip again, paired with a date-stamped Instagram story. Her friend tagging me by mistake had turned out to be the digital smoking gun. Someone else posted a screen grab of her replying, "No husbands allowed," on another Vegas girl's post. Then came the turn. Oh, so this is the one crying? Now she fumbled a man and wants pity now. Danced on a stripper like she was auditioning for the wild side. Now, crying for sympathy? Public opinion flipped like a coin. A few days later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail, as usual, but the message caught me off guard. My mother. Her voice was tired, hesitant. "Jack, I got a visit from Olivia today." She was distraught. Said she needed to talk to you, but didn't know how. She said you weren't answering anything. Said you'd vanished. "Son, I don't know what happened between you two, and it's none of my business. But she's not doing well. Just thought you should know." I sat still after that one. For a long time. So she'd gone to my mom. Low move. Olivia knew exactly what that meant. My mother had always been her fan, always stood by her. Now she was using that connection like a crowbar, trying to wedge her way back into the cracks. I didn't respond. I wasn't angry. I was done. Later that week, I got a message on my new number. The only reason it got through was because I had forgotten to block an old coworker, Luis, one of the younger guys I used to train on job sites. His message was short. "Dude, you're a legend." I replied. "Huh?" He sent a laughing emoji, then followed up. "Everyone at the shop's talking about how you ghosted your cheating wife. That exit? Coldest I've ever seen." She was all over social media sobbing, and boom, people found the vids. She was grinding like she didn't have a husband. Now she's trying to play the victim. Bro, you handled it like a boss. It was the first time I felt something like relief. Not pride, because none of this was a win, but a sense of clarity. People knew. The truth was out there. And I hadn't had to shout. Hadn't had to post angry messages or fight in the mud. I just walked. I walked away from the fire and let her burn her own stage down. That night, I sat outside the small duplex I was renting. Cheap but clean. Quiet neighborhood. No drama. A neighbor's wind chime tinkled somewhere across the street. Crickets chirped. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I pulled up my notes app and typed something just for me. Peace feels weird after chaos, but I'll take weird over betrayal. I didn't post it. Didn't need to. Some things were better kept quiet. Chapter 8. Reclaiming me. The mornings came easier now. Not with joy or pep. Not yet. But with rhythm. Routine. I'd wake at 6, roll out of the small bed in my rented duplex, lace up my running shoes, and hit the pavement before the sun made the concrete sweat. It wasn't about fitness at first. It was about moving forward literally. One foot, then the next. Every step a middle finger to the storm behind me. For the first few weeks, I barely spoke to anyone unless it was work-related. I picked up contracting jobs here and there, fences, decks, kitchen remodels. It was good, honest labor. Quiet. Nobody asked about my personal life, and I liked it that way. But slowly, almost without realizing it, I started putting the pieces of myself back together. I got a new truck, modest but clean. Started my own LLC, Jack Turner Custom Renovations. Just me, my tools, and my name on the invoices. No shared accounts. No extra keys under the mat. There was power in building something again, this time for myself. At night, when the tools were packed and the job sites locked up, I'd shower off the dust and sometimes hit the gym, sometimes just the bar down the street. I wasn't out there looking to get laid or distract myself. I just needed to breathe among people again, to remind myself I wasn't invisible. Every now and then, someone would strike up a conversation. Flirty bartenders, friendly regulars. One girl asked me if I was a widower because I had that haunted but hot look. I laughed for the first time in what felt like years. I started dating again. Casually. No pressure. Just a drink, some laughs, maybe a second date if the vibe was right. I never mentioned Olivia. I wasn't looking for therapy sessions disguised as romance. One night, after a client meeting downtown, I met a woman named Riley at a quiet Italian place. We'd matched on some dating app, and I almost didn't show. But something about her profile stuck with me. No filters, no duck lips. Just a woman standing in a bookstore, holding a paperback and smiling like she'd found something she wasn't looking for. She looked up from her menu as I walked in. Jack. I nodded. You must be Riley. Wow, she said, standing to greet me. You actually look like your pictures. High praise in this day and age. I smiled. We sat. We ordered. She didn't interrogate me. Didn't flirt like she was trying out for The Bachelor. Just talked. About books. About life. About bad dates and worse coffee. She was smart. Funny. And when she looked at me, it wasn't with suspicion or calculation. It was just open. Midway through dinner, she leaned back, wine glass in hand. So she said, cards on the table? I raised an eyebrow. Okay, I like this, she said. You. This vibe. But I get the sense you're pacing yourself. I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. Pacing's a nice word for it. She nodded, not pressing. Want to tell me why? I hesitated. The old me would have dodged it. Laughed it off. But something about Riley didn't trigger my defenses. My last relationship didn't end well, I said. Married 7 years. Thought we were solid. Then she went on a trip to Vegas, and, well, turns out some vows are more flexible than others. Riley winced. Ouch. Yeah, I said quietly. The kind of betrayal that doesn't just break your heart, it rewrites your wiring. She was quiet for a moment, then reached across the table and touched my hand. Not in pity, just connection. I can't imagine, she said, but I respect the hell out of you for not letting it turn you bitter. I swallowed, throat tight. Some days I feel like I did. Then you're doing better than most, she replied. Bitter men don't rebuild their lives. They just sit in the wreckage. After dinner, we walked to the parking lot under a sky full of stars. I opened her car door like I was raised to, and she leaned in close. Listen, she said softly. No pressure. But if you ever want to talk, or just exist next to someone who gets it, I'd like to see you again. I nodded, pulse steady, but heart uncertain. I like that, too. She kissed my cheek, warm, deliberate, and drove off. Back at home, I sat on the porch with a beer and stared into the dark. There was a weird ache in my chest. Not pain, not sadness, just something uncoiling, like the first deep stretch after a long sleep. I wanted to trust again, but part of me still stood guard at the gates. Was I broken? Or just bruised? Maybe both. But for the first time, I didn't feel ashamed of it. I was still me. Still Jack. Still standing. And little by little, I was reclaiming myself. Chapter 9. The Confrontation. It was a Thursday. Late summer sun baked the gravel lot outside new build. I was overseeing a single-family ranch on the edge of town. I was knee-deep in drywall inspections, clipboard in hand, hard hat low, sweat dripping down the back of my neck. Then I saw her, like a ghost from a life I'd left behind. Olivia. She stood just beyond the caution tape, heels clicking against the concrete like they belonged at a runway show, not a construction site. Her hair was tied up, but messy like she'd rushed. Sunglasses covered her eyes, but not the tension in her jaw or the desperation in her stance. I froze for a second, just a second, then lowered my clipboard and walked toward her. She didn't wait. Jack, she called out, stepping over the tape like it meant nothing. Jack, please, can we talk? I could feel the eyes on us, my crew, my subcontractors. A few paused their work, trying not to be obvious. Olivia, I said calm and cold. You shouldn't be here. I had to find you, she said, voice shaky. You wouldn't answer my texts. You changed everything. Your number, your email. You disappeared. I did, I said. On purpose. Her mouth opened, then shut. She looked down, pulling off her sunglasses, revealing red-rimmed eyes. Whether from tears or lack of sleep, I didn't know. Didn't care. I didn't know where else to go, she said. I asked Javier. I even called your mom. I tensed. Don't drag my family into this. I was desperate, Jack, she snapped, emotion cracking through. I made a mistake, but you didn't have to ghost me like I was nothing. I looked at her for a long moment. Let the silence settle. Come on, I finally said, nodding toward the side of the site. You've got 5 minutes. Don't make a scene here. We walked behind the building where it was quiet, just a few stacks of lumber and the rustle of trees nearby. The sun glared off the metal scaffolding, but I stayed steady. Olivia turned to face me, arms folded, trying to keep herself from falling apart. Jack, she said quieter now. What I did in Vegas, it wasn't what it looked like. I laughed once, sharp and dry. You mean the part where you were grinding on a half-naked Tarzan while your friends filmed and tagged me? That part. She flushed but pressed on. It was just a stupid dance. I didn't sleep with him. I swear on everything, Jack. This was never about sex, I said, voice low, firm. You cheated on me the second you disrespected me in public. You humiliated me in front of the world. It was one night, she said, eyes wild. One drunken night, Jack. It didn't mean anything. I didn't feel anything for him. I didn't even talk to him afterward. You think that makes it better? She blinked, caught off guard. Olivia, this wasn't about what you felt for him. It was about what you didn't feel for me. Respect. Loyalty. You don't need to sleep with someone to betray your husband. You just have to stop acting like he matters. Her lips trembled. That's not fair. It's exactly fair. She stepped forward, reaching out. I didn't move. I didn't think you'd actually leave, she whispered. I thought you'd get mad. Maybe yell. Maybe ignore me for a week, but not vanish. Not sell the house. Not drain the accounts. Not end us. I looked her dead in the eyes. You thought wrong. Chapter 10. The last word. The house was quiet. Too quiet. That was the first thing I noticed when I moved into my new place, a small, modest apartment on the edge of town. No creaks in the floorboards, no muffled footsteps echoing upstairs, no slammed doors or whispered arguments bleeding through the walls. Just silence. For a while, it was deafening. I sat at the kitchen table, nursing a black coffee, staring at the blank screen of my laptop. Months had passed since the confrontation. Months since Olivia showed up, desperate and raw, and I told her the truth she never wanted to hear. Since then, I'd rebuilt myself piece by piece. The days hadn't always been easy. There were mornings I woke up hollow, haunted by what was lost. The laughter that once filled the house, now just a ghost in my memory. The plans we made, the dreams shared, they felt like someone else's story. But amidst the ashes, something else had taken root. Strength, clarity, a new understanding of what I deserved and what I would never settle for again. I opened my laptop and started typing. Not for anyone else. Not for Olivia. For me. The words poured out, raw, unfiltered, a letter to every man who might someday find himself standing where I once did. Men, never ignore your gut. Protect your peace. And when they show you who they are, believe them. I wrote about loyalty, not just in marriage, but in respect, honesty, and the small things that build trust. I wrote about how easy it was to lose yourself trying to hold onto someone who was already walking away. I share my story, just enough to be real, but not enough to invite pity. Then I hit publish. Within hours, the post blew up. Messages flooded in. Thank you for your honesty. I'm going through the same thing. You gave me the courage to walk away. Your story saved my marriage. Some told me their wives had done the same. Others said they wished they'd known sooner. I read every message. I responded when I could. But mostly, I just sat back and let the words do their work. One evening, a friend from the shop called. Jack, man, you nailed it. That post, it's like you spoke for all of us. I laughed. I just told the truth. He paused. Truth's hard to hear sometimes, but it sets you free. That night, I stood on my apartment balcony, watching the city lights flicker below. I felt a calm I hadn't known in years. No regrets, no bitterness, just peace. Because, in the end, she screamed when I left. But I only found peace when I stopped listening.